All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another DC Worlds Collide video. This is Mr. Squirrel. As always, glad to have you here. So, I'm gonna make this a two-parter. Um, it wasn't originally gonna be a two-parter. I'm gonna make it a two-parter. This first part of this video came out earlier today. I'm making this the second part of the video. And a lot of this actually comes from the communication of Obito. I think I'm saying that right. Again, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. On the official Discord. So there was a very long chat. He was on the Discord for he came in and out of the Discord quite a bit. Unfortunately, I was never there at that time because I was at work. And I just couldn't get into the chat at that time. But a couple things I want to talk about is there are things he mentioned that I want to bring light to players. In lieu of also the change that is being made in addition to the change that I already went over earlier about the summoning system, because now we have sets and there is reruns, which are a different pity than new characters. So new characters and old characters are going to be on different pities. So there's that. The second thing I want to bring up what they are currently working on in the future that he's given us privy to. So for content we've been working at, they're going to do a convergence extension, which means they're going to make more levels for the convergences. I don't have details and release, but it's in the works. It was the next content. It was the next content extension after we did Evil Falls and League Challenge extensions. Okay. We are aware of Crisis Watch scoring frustration. It's not a super fun system. So they do know. And then this is, I don't think there's anyone that likes this because it's like literally just whoever gets there first wins. Leveling for events is something where we've also discussed. One in particular is painful, is level 300 plus. We agree. Okay, so this is referring to more veteran players. There's events where it's like level up 5 characters. Well, if you're past 300, doing that is very tough. And you essentially just save between events when you're going to do it, so that way, because you can't level past that point, like you can't just level care. It's a different system. When I get to 300, I will show you all. It'll make sense when I get there and I can show it better. The next thing I kind of want to go over, they are very aware of the hackers and the cheaters, and they are putting things in play that is going to inhibit them or mitigate how they're cheating. He didn't give details, but he did go through it. I think that's a best answer we can hope for the time being. They are aware of it. There's a couple other things. They're working on the dampen and shield feedback for the league issue, which is like not everyone has a dampened character because they're not even in the general pool yet. Like you need one of the 3 DCU characters to do that. They are working on that, and it'll probably get easier as time goes on. We get more dampened characters and all that jazz, and they have made it, and he has acknowledged they're not going to do something like that again, which is good. I appreciate that. So again, I'm trying to go through, there was a lot of stuff discussed. I want to be pausing every now and then to just kind of highlight key points. Okay, here's the next thing that he was talking about. Parallax is actually a bug. Him not being in the shop is actually a bug and not intended. So save your tickets. Don't spend them on anything else. He's there. They're attempting to put him back into the shop before the event ends. If not, he will be back the next time the shop rolls around. Good enough response for me. I know, again, people are going, you're I'm not shilling. I'm telling you, it's a bug. Unfortunately, they're trying their best. This is the dude. This is not the general manager of the full game. He's like part of design. And so I'm just letting you guys know it's a bug. They're working on it. And hopefully it gets resolved before the end of the event. But save your tickets. Let's go to the next point. I think there's a really interesting point that he brings up. And they're talking about events. And he's talking about like reoccurring events. And I think this is an interesting point. I really like how he discusses this, is that one of the things they're talking about is like bringing back the Batmobile event. But the problem with Batmobile event is not everything is super like those resources are more available. Like doing certain things, missions, things like that is easier at what in earlier levels. Some of those things are just easier when like, you know, level up 10 characters, level up a character 100 times or something like that. Do you know how difficult that is nowadays? I'm just saying, like getting 20 levels is a godsend. So one of the things he's bringing that up is like certain things are more challenging at different points in the your progression. But then the thing about it is like the PvP events, and that is associated with weekly reset. This might be something to think about and put engineers towards doing it. There's a bit of work towards the scheduling because right now they're tied to the launch of a server group and not something we can give it out as a date to start time. Because remember, there's different starting time. There's pre-release, there's global, there's also different server time, there's different servers. So there's all these different things that you have to accommodate for, which is valid and appreciate the overall communication and clarity on that. Okay, so this is an interesting point. We think the current release of special banners with sets, the super crypto tokens, is at its maximum, which means that they're talking about um, they don't want to exceed what they're doing right now. It will ebb and flow over time, but we've heard feedback from the current frequency was already straining players. I think legendary banners are cool, and I love waiting for favorite characters to show up so I can chase them. But I don't think the answer is to add more than we do now. For eighth medals, it's a powerful lever. Right now, the only farmable place is the arena shop, which is small trickle. I will bring feedback of looking for places, but to put more limited time event rewards, as that's the next most obvious place. I think this involves is like bringing in more frequent, what's the right word? More frequent reruns. And I think he's saying they don't really want to add more frequent because people feel even more strained to summon. I would partially disagree. I think if they're on a constant like rotation over time, I kind of disagree with Beetle at this point because they become normalized and then you just create a reoccurring pattern of them. But at the same time, then that kind of gets rid of FOMO. So I don't know the right answer because again, companies still operate on FOMO. I do think though people need access to more characters. Like, why is Bride not out right now? Like, I just if you're gonna run it this way, I think you need to be way more intentional with the banners you're releasing because and again, this is not to you, Obito. I'm just communicating this, is that I don't think in its current form, it is like some legendaries are mandatory for teams. Frostbite, for instance, I can't I can't literally run the team because I don't have Supergirl. What am I supposed to do? Right? And we're pushing July to August, so 1 month, August, September, October. We're pushing 3 months. We're over 3 months now. I literally have never seen Supergirl. Ever. Ever. I've had no opportunity to get Bride. I've had no opportunity to get because I don't just summon willy-nilly on every single like I'm not always just doing the weeklies. I follow my own advice. But at the same time, I would really like an opportunity to get some of these characters. Um yeah. So I partially disagree with this, and I think then characters go for the character they want. And if there's a little bit more of a weekly reoccurring schedule, I also think there's a way to restructure banners. I think a lot of this has to do with the restructuring of banners. I personally think people can maybe, I think that the pity should be at 75 personally. And then for sets, 75, and it's a 50-50. Just do it the way Hoyoverse does it. And then 150 is guaranteed. But that way, 50-50, it could just be any one of the characters, or the rerunnable characters, and you can just get them. And I think you do that, and I think you really give players a lot more incentive to summon, just when even it's not the character they're looking for. I really do think, and especially now that you're doing a rerun, you have rerun is separate from the general. That's you gotta move the pity now. Like we're talking, you gotta change the pity. Pity needs to be down to 100, y'all. I'm gonna push this. Either pity is 100 or you put the 75 with a 50-50 chance. One of those two things needs to happen now because it's too much to ask a player. I'd actually say now that you've done the reruns and the changes like this, that this is maximum. This is actually like, or sets need to become more readily available because reruns are now in a different pity. This needs to be really analyzed by your marketing team, your whatever team that is in charge of summoning systems, because you're talking about two separate pities now, and those pities are sitting at 150. That's going to push players out. It's too much. Too much. You gotta recalibrate this system. Yeah, keep going. Okay, next point. They are talking about like having more events, login events, like Constantine, so that they bring it up right here. He's talking about they are in discussion of it, but he won't talk more about it, which means it's in development. They're just probably figuring it out. Okay, great. Next point. Okay, for people that are wondering, I'm just going to highlight this point because I'm the biggest Hal Jordan glazer. I cannot speak about Hal Jordan banner at this time. I will just tell people you may want to save. He put, uh, the sweating face emoji, and that means I'm guaranteeing y'all he's coming in the near future. So if you want Hal Jordan, I would save because also he's on a different pity. So you might want to save resources. Again, I'm going to reinforce this point. Obito, I would communicate with the development team. I would really encourage you guys to change the pity. Now that it's two separate pities, they should be down to 100 or 75, 150. 75 is the 50-50 shot. 150 is the guaranteed. Just saying. This is too much now for players. It's way too much. Because you separated the pity out, you have to change the summoning system. You have to. It's not acceptable in its current form. It's just not. So that's my feedback on that. I will just be very honest with you. It is not acceptable in its current form if you're going to separate out pities. Then you have two separate pities for the same resource. Then you need to increase the value of the resource by decreasing the length of the pity. It should be 75, 150, or 100. Pick one. I don't care, but one of those two things needs to happen very soon. That's it for that part. Okay, let's keep going. As I've already mentioned before, the guild versus guild is in the works. It's still in the planning phase. They has nothing else to share with that. That's just another point that was a couple months. It was like a month ago. He was talking about that. So just there you go. So this is an interesting answer I want to highlight about hackers and banners. So this is a hard answer because we can't go into specifics for reasons. The lawyers tell us not to, but to keep it generic, it's not, and not talk about specific incidents or accounts. We have banned quite a number of players for hacking, and we have temp banned players who exploited depending on the extent to which they gained. I know this isn't a Santa thing, but it's one of those things where areas can't really share much about it. I think that's valid. I think there's more going on than when we can actually say it's like it's a hacker, blah 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 blah. Is it like fully like? Because if you ban someone's account on wrongfully, then they can go through and then they can like get refunds for all their stuff. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. I do, as someone that has been on the administrative side of things, a lot of times we see a problem and we're like, oh, it's a simple solution. It's not always fully simple. So I do appreciate he's being as transparent, and he is saying like, listen, this is how it is. I'm sorry. Like on the back end of things, we don't see everything. And I do want to acknowledge that. So again, I also apologize. This video feels like I'm like pausing and going and pausing, and because I'm trying to get through every point he talks about. And I had to read a lot here and find every comment he was going through. So forgive me. This video took a while to make. Now, I really appreciate this answer, and I agree with this answer. So they're talking about different types of characters and kind of making like Robin. So Damian Wayne. Robin is a hard type of character to do in these games because he so easily wants to ignore fundamental rules by attacking the back line. I think he certainly is underperforming, but he scares me because if characters like Robin are too good, they undermine the core mechanics of battle as well. I 100% agree with that statement. You have to be very careful of assassin characters because either they unfortunately are assassin characters are hard because either they're OP or they're underperforming. You get one of the two, and there's no in between. Well, sometimes there's an in between. I think a lot of that comes back to their ability to attack multiple characters at once. I think that's how you kind of move around these rules. But at the same time, you just got to be careful with it. If they buff him too much, then your backline doesn't matter. That's it. Okay, now this is interesting. This is interesting. So I'm glad he brings up this point. He says, I honestly agree, Batgirl being blue means we just got to feature her prominently in the story from the start, but she needs more respect. We absolutely plan to release new versions of characters that are higher rarities, give them time in the spotlight. I personally consider characters at the rare spot basically not be represented in the game in a big way, and they are all viable options for newer versions. We do not currently have any plans to allow players to upgrade current characters from rare to elite. So you can't take what they're not planning to do, going from like a character is rare and then you upgrade them to elite and then you upgrade them to epic. So that's not going to happen. They're just going to release new versions of these characters. So anyone in those like Black Canary, Batgirl, I mean, that's Epic versus Elite. But I do think what they're saying is or Rare and Elite, they're going to change that. So you will see these characters, like if you see, which also means like Batman is going to become a legendary at some point. We already knew this, but I just want to highlight that point. But I think I got to every point for the most part. I might have missed a few here and there, guys. I'm sorry. It was trying to literally summarize like what was almost like an hour, 2 hours plus of a conversation into like nice, neat, organized conversation with y'all. I just want to say this, Obito, I really appreciate it. I think, and I know you say here this isn't like a daily thing, but I think if you at least make this like a weekly thing, and like maybe every Friday you chat with the players, I think that'll really help the health of this game, because one of the big things we've been talking about is communication with the devs, and just having you sit in there, dude. I'm just gonna say this, and maybe you watch this video, maybe you don't. I don't know. I don't. And I'm mad and sad I didn't get a chat with you. I would have loved to have chatted with you. Um, there's a different tone in the community, in the Discord, when you stepped in. It was very different. It was dead, and today it's just been blowing up. And I'm like, y'all, this is so cool to see you just chatting with us. Um, and I just want to say I appreciate you for doing that. So, and again, I'm not a shill, and maybe you can call me a shill if you want. You know what? You guys can call me a shill if you want. I'm just saying the thing that I've been wanting the most is this. Just talk to the players about what's going on. Reveal a little bit of the curtain. Like, it just feels like we've been yelling at a wall, and that wall's not talking back to us. And that's just really frustrating. And I'm going to say this. This helps me. It helps me to know that they acknowledge these concerns we have. I'm going to say my biggest concern right now, I mean, there's a lot of concerns. I've already released all that stuff. But now that I know there's two separate banner types, there's two separate pities, guys, like, Albedo, I'm going to say this. You want to retain players, you really got to consider them changing the pity system, because that's pushing, we're talking about two separate pities. Ooh, that's rough. You need to bring the pity down to 100 or 75 and then 150. I mean, honestly, I think the 75, 150 would be the easiest thing to do, personally. And then we can get other random legendaries on the way. I think that would be cool, personally. Then I can get, maybe, I lose it. I'm like, but I just got Supergirl or another copy of Hal Jordan. That would be really great. That's me, personally. I don't know. All right, y'all. I hope this video helps. And as always, remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning.